My name is Mike, and this message goes out to all the people who happen to follow me online. In my time here on Reddit, I've enjoyed countless ghost stories about haunted houses and so forth. That's all they ever were, though. Just stories. My mother passed away recently, and while some of my relatives and I were cleaning out her attic, I came across my old journal. And I wish I hadn't. What happened all those years ago, it all came flooding back through the dusty, weathered pages of an old notebook. The memories of so long ago were dead and buried, and I would have preferred they stayed that way. It was around 20 years ago now. I was only a summer away from putting the whole North American landmass between me and my podunk little town. The Starlight Resort, a quaint hotel in my town, popular with honeymooners looking for a romantic getaway and an old-timey colonial experience, was the perfect opportunity for me to save up the last little bit of money I could before school started. I primarily worked at the front desk for the night shift. Getting a job there was a breeze. Apart from a couple of regulars, the staff changed frequently. Unfortunately, being short-staffed so often required me to step outside my immediate duties at times. I do remember there was a security guard who quit after only a day. It has been said that a lot of people who try to work there in the past have never gone more than 4 or 5 days without quitting. Little did I know that I would soon find out why. In my day, we didn't hop on our cell phones and pointlessly update the world with every mundane aspect of our lives. If you were working late and you were bored, you had a couple of options. A. Be a normal human being and socialize with your coworkers. B. Get a deck of cards and seriously kick your own ass in a game of solitaire. Or C. Make your own entertainment, which in my case was journaling. In high school, English was my best subject, and I had planned on majoring in it in college to either go into teaching or journalism or something of the sort, so I was no stranger to jotting down my thoughts and feelings. At this point in my life, writing came second nature, and it was the best therapy that money didn't have to buy. A notebook doesn't lie or misinterpret. It only presents your thoughts, feelings, and experiences as you dictate them. I used to write and sometimes even just doodle if I ever got slow enough where I wasn't constantly busy. I knew of the hotel's supposed haunting and figured it might be fun just to jot down some notes if I ever saw or felt anything out of the ordinary. At the time, the most I ever thought was going to come from it were a few instances of cold drafts and some flickering lights. Attached below is a previously unobserved glimpse into the nightmares I had experienced while working at the resort. It was not unusual for me to jot things down at least twice a night. Once before I started a shift, and once more after I got on break. To make things easier to read, I've split my writing into 2 separate parts per entry. June 21st, 1999. Who would have thought that it would wind up here at the Starlight Hotel? I'm sitting in the lobby as I write this. The history of this place still lives on through the atmosphere here, floating through the musty air and embedded into the handcrafted mahogany furniture. And it seems like the stories about this place go back as far as the hotel itself. Kevin Mackinson from gym class used to always talk about the Lady in Red. A long time ago, farther and farther back depending on who you ask, a bride committed suicide on the night of her wedding. The story goes that a young bride having her wedding here in the reception lounge jumped off the top floor of the hotel after discovering her new husband was having an affair. Legend has it that she can still be seen wandering the top floor at all hours of the night, her face and dress covered in blood and broken bones from the impact of the fall. I guess that's where the red comes from. Ah, to be young little freshmen again. It seems like every town has their own story about a ghost bride. I can't believe people still fall for that one anymore. It does have me thinking, though. All these rumors floating around about this place. Even if they are fake, the stories themselves have to be based on something. Maybe there's no ghost, but you never know. Affairs destroy marriages every day. And as unfortunate as it is, it's not unheard of for someone to fall out of a window or something like that. Behind every legend could be a little piece of this place's history. Piecing together the secrets of the Starlight Hotel might be fun. Well, I must take off for now. My shift is starting, and Mr. Gilbert, my boss, needs me. June 21st. Continued. Okay, so that was odd. The time is 12:38 a.m. It was about 20 minutes ago when this first happened, but this is the first moment's reprieve I've gotten. I want to get this out while it's still as fresh in my mind as can be. I was delivering some miscellaneous things to a couple of rooms on the top floor. It was just my luck that the elevator happens to be out of service, so I'd been getting my exercise in the access stairwell. The cold hard metal from the hand railing was at war with the fire burning in my lungs from the physical activity. I had reached the top floor and headed for the door when a thunderous bang sent me soaring out of my skin. On the opposite end of the door, gazing through the door's window, looking square at me, was an unbelievably whitish young woman. Her face was shrouded in crimson sandy blood. She screeched in pain. "Open the door! Get in here now!" Blood on her hands writhed as she slammed on the door, commanding my attention. I don't know what came over me. The next thing I knew, my hand was hugging the handle and welcoming her into my space. She clutched onto me and started smearing blood all over my clothes as she whimpered in my ear, "Where the hell have you been?" Frozen in fear and unable to answer, a second question came forth. "Are these my towels?" It was then that I remembered the room 1307's request, one of the reasons I had been sent up here in the first place. "Damn it!" the woman complained. "It's been 10 minutes now." She grasped a stack of towels and pressed them against her nose. The poor woman was taking a bath and went to wash her hair and smashed her face onto the faucet. Talk about a jolt to the system. That was an image I won't soon forget. I am finally back to the front desk now. I took forever to talk to the woman and fill out the incident report. Okay, so it wasn't the lady in red, but it was a lady in red. Does that count for anything? June 22nd. Night 2, here's to you. And here's to an incident-free night. No more bloody noses from here on out. So far, things have been quiet. Quieter, anyway. I have company tonight. Someone else is on duty with me. Her name is Vivian. I could have used her help last night, but she mentioned something about her kid being sick with a cold, her son, I think, and not being able to get a babysitter. You should have heard Mr. Gilbert when she showed up. I don't know how this chick put up with this abuse. It's one thing to reprimand an employee for being late or not calling into work, but he was flat out berating her and bellowing at her like she was only a small child. He kept going on about how she needed to take accountability, that she was still just a child with a child of her own. She must really need this job if she's putting up with that garbage. Here she comes now. She must have been in the bathroom for a half hour. I think she was crying. Anyway, still nothing crazy to report tonight. At least nothing as crazy as last night. It's probably silly of me to even bring this up, but I just can't get it out of my mind. I was ready to write the whole thing off myself until guests started calling in and complaining. It sounded like moaning. I'd noticed it earlier when I was running things up to the second floor. Looking at the manifesto and judging by the rooms calling in, I would say that it's coming from room 209. That's the only room on that floor that hasn't called complaining. The only problem is, room 209 hasn't been occupied in weeks according to the records. There's a lot of secrets in room 209. That phrase is giving me chills right now. That one used to spread like a plague up and down my school's cafeteria. The story would be almost completely different by the time it made its way around the room, though. When I saw that room 209 was empty, my heart nearly sank as the various stories came flooding back to me. The sound coming from the room right now, though, reminds me of one particular tale. It was the early 1900s. A young woman from a multitude of different places, depending on who you hear the story from, immigrated to America to start a life of freedom and opportunity with her sweetheart. The significant other came over first and got a job in a steel mill to pay for her passage over. After arriving here and settling in room 209, she learned that he was tragically killed when a fire broke out at the mill. Upon learning of his death, the woman became despondent and barricaded herself in the room. Hotel staff tried everything they could but were unable to enter the room. For 10 whole days, the woman sat in the room bawling her eyes out until finally succumbing to starvation and dehydration. When the staff finally managed to get through the door, her lifeless body was discovered on the bed. She was still clutching a pillow to her chest. Is this what I'm hearing right now? The mournful sobs of a grieving widow? Leave it to Vivian to head off to the bathroom again right now. I'd give my week's paycheck to have anyone else go up there with me and check it out. I don't want to go alone. When housekeeping goes in there just to clean the room, they do it in shifts, never going alone. And they're always in and out, no messing around. What am I going to do? I'm just one man, the new guy. Unfortunately, I'm not really in any position to say no. Here goes nothing. I'll have to be as quick as the maids. With any luck, I should be back before the ink on this paper dries. June 22nd, continued. Damn it, I knew I shouldn't have gone up there. What am I going to do now? I've never dealt with something like this before. That room was completely emaciated. How the hell could that even happen? No one said anything. Not about this. No one should go back into room 209. I got water all over my damn shoes, and I liked this pair. Stupid busted pipe. I'm grateful that the damage was minimal, at least. Mr. Gilbert had me seal up the room. No one else on the floor reported any issues, and no water got into anyone else's room. That's good news. Mr. Gilbert says that he's going to get some guys to handle it tomorrow. So I guess I didn't hear the cries of a grieving widow after all. Just the wailing of a busted water pipe. Perhaps there are a lot of secrets in room 209, but that'll have to wait until the room is repaired again. Thank you for listening to this story. If you'd like to hear me read more stories, why not press the subscribe button? If you liked tonight's story, why not share some love with the author? Videos like this one aren't possible without these talented authors. It's the first link in the description.